How do you use your oregano? Do you ever add it to a dish at the end? We were making recommendations to companies to substitute oregano with thyme.
You're saying there's a crisis of oregano right now?
Well, the color's not going to be this vibrant green,
Yeah.
and the mold is going to be a little bit higher. I picked up the salt shaker, and I went, I can't do it. Could you imagine never knowing what pizza is?
I'm starving.
Let's go back to 1945, the end of World War II. A young American GI ships home from Italy where, for the first time, he had a strange Italian dish called pizza. Back in the US, he's still thinking about pizza, and he misses that smell from the streets of Naples, that deep, earthy, wild green smell coming from the wood-fired ovens. Today, we're talking about the iconic herb that made it to America by way of the pizza, oregano. What's up, guys? I'm Jonathan Raju, and this is the OG Spice Guy Show, where we dig into the real stories behind the world's boldest flavors, from the fields where they're grown to the businesses that bring them to your table. Today's episode is all about one of the most beloved herbs on the planet, oregano. We're going to cover the history of oregano, the difference between Mediterranean and Mexican oregano, the regions around the world where it's grown, and how you can use it in your recipes. Let's get into it. I just got to say, I love that log line. We've developed it over the episodes.
Yeah.
And from the businesses that bring them to you. I love that.
Everybody now knows that's what you say.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the
music.
boom music.
And we haven't changed the music once.
No, the music's cool. I
Yeah.
got to say, it's a little cooler than our show.
Yeah.
It has this hip-hoppy Indian
It's good origin.
beat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about oregano today.
Oregano. Before we get into oregano,
Yeah.
we haven't done one of these in a while.
Okay.
Because I don't make many mistakes, but when I do, I own them.
Yeah, okay, so we made a mistake on the show.
Made a mistake. My good friend from another spice company in the industry, I'll keep him anonymous for right now, is texting me at 5 a.m. today, as a matter of fact. And he was like, hey, I think you misquoted something. So I went back to producer Max.
Yep.
And he confirmed that I did, in fact, misquote. So when we were talking with Ram from ITC
At Asta,
and I was talking about the chilies and saying how many tons of chilies India produces, I said India produces annually 2 million pounds of chilies.
Okay.
That's wrong.
What is it?
It's 2 million metric tons.
Oh, it's like 2,000
Exactly.
times.
I was only off by a factor of 2,000.
Or is it 2,200? A metric ton is
Metric
different
ton is
than a regular
2,200.
ton? Okay,
Yeah, if you
see, I
wanna get
learned that in this
specific.
show. Don't say you don't learn anything on this show.
So my bad. I made a mistake. India produces 2 million metric tons of chilies every year.
What I'm getting out of that is that your buddy's listening to the show.
Yeah.
Cares. Make
Yeah.
sure you get it right.
I wanna get it
because
right.
He expects others are. And before we were rolling today, we were just kind of reminiscing. I think this is our 20th show, Drew told me.
Yeah. So that's almost as insignificant as America's 250th birthday.
Right. Here's the other thing, because I was listening, we were doing market update earlier too, and you were mentioning, because we're talking about oregano.
Yep.
And that most of oregano comes from Turkey. I know, spoiler alert, most of it comes from Turkey. Well, I'm watching the World Cup right now, and I know, and Max and I and everything.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're calling Turkey Turkey.
The main reason Turkey is changing its name is to eliminate the association with the bird.
I mean, that's brilliant. Somebody in that place went, "Hey, what are we doing here?" I guarantee you, there are people out there that have been thinking about this.
The bird. Yeah, Turkey and Greece, when you're in elementary school.
Oh, well, it's it's an easy way to remember it. But I'm saying in the World Cup world, I don't know. I haven't heard them do a story on it, but we're just to assume that it's not Turkey. It's Turkey. So great. I think if you start trying to say it correctly to your customers in the industry, you'll sound weird. You just need to keep Turkey.
Yeah,
You're an
I
American.
think so. I'll ask our suppliers how to say it.
It's a good question,
Yeah, it's
though.
important. I want to say it right. I want to start with the history because it really feels like an American story. Italian immigration to the United States started in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and they brought their food culture with them. But surprisingly, Italian food really stayed with their Italian American communities. There was no pizza, no pasta, no oregano in mainstream American cooking. Then World War II happened. Between 1942 and 1945, over 1 million American soldiers were stationed in Italy, North Africa, and the broader Mediterranean. This area is the oregano capital of the world. For a generation of young American men who grew up eating meat and potatoes, this was a revelation of all the great food out there. Imagine never having tried Italian food. Could you imagine never knowing what pizza is?
I will say I've had a couple of these in my lifetime. Like, Americans didn't used to eat hummus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, never had hummus.
Never had hummus.
I probably had hummus for the first time when I was in college.
Really? Wow.
Right? I think even Mexican food to a lot of the country
Yeah.
is within their lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? Where they know what a chilaquiles is.
You know, it's a funny one. This is kind of the opposite. Is what we're seeing with the World Cup and a lot of the foreigners coming to America and eating ranch for the first time. I think that's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Because for us, ranch is just so ubiquitous. I mean, that's definitely not a hummus thing, right? We had
Yeah.
ranch as kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now I just saw in Boston Logan Airport in the the Hudson News,
Yeah.
where you go to get your snacks in the airport and whatnot, they have bottles of ranch past TSA. So you can buy, the liquid ranch and take it on the plane back home.
That is so great. So, yes, it's hard to believe that Italian food was similar.
Yeah.
And that they were like, oh, have you heard of this pizza
Yeah.
or this spaghetti?
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's American culture food now.
Yeah.
It's
Incredible.
Italian.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So when they came home, they missed the flavors they had overseas. And the restaurant industry was transformed because there were all these returning veterans who had money and wanted to spend. Pizza shops exploded across American cities in the late 1940s, and oregano came along with it. Here's a crazy stat. Between 1948 and 1956, oregano imports to the United States increased by more than 5,000%. That's 50 times in less than 10 years. Now let's talk about the plant. You've probably seen people growing oregano just in a pot in their kitchen. It's an herb with small, pointed leaves, and when it grows flowers, they're usually white or pink. And just to get this out of the way, Mexican oregano and Mediterranean oregano are not the same things. When Europeans came to the Americas, they founded a plant that smelled similar to the oregano that they knew back home, and they called it the same thing. What they were smelling, by the way, was the active compound which both plants share. But now we're stuck with two herbs that have the same name but different flavor profiles. Here's the breakdown. Mediterranean oregano is earthy and slightly bitter. It's great for Italian, Greek, Turkish, or Spanish cuisine. Mexican oregano, on the other hand, is more citrusy. The plants look more like a bush. It's more intense overall, and you really would only use it in Mexican food. At the grocery store, you'll see it labeled specifically as Mexican oregano. Since that's a different spice, we'll save it for a different episode. Do you cook with Mexican oregano?
No, unless it's in a blend of some sort that I don't know about.
You're not intentionally buying it.
Not at all. I learned about it on the OG Spice Guy show.
Yeah. It's not part of your, what did you call it? Your spice infinity jar?
It has not made the Spice Infinity jar, which is empty right now. And I know that's, the jar is still there.
It's called
so
the
there's still
Infinity
some
jar.
dust.
Yeah.
So I guess it still lives on.
Yeah. Oregano is, at its core, a stress-tolerant plant. It thrives in rocky, well-drained soil with full sun and low moisture. Oregano is originally from Greece, but now Turkey grows and exports more dried oregano than any other country on the planet. The Aegean region produces huge quantities for export to the United States, Europe, and the Middle East. Turkish oregano tends to be robust and aromatic, high in the compounds that give the herb its punch. So we're talking about oregano.
Right.
I think it's important to understand just how difficult it is to be a farmer and to grow these products, that we all have come to know and love in this case it's oregano. So I was just reading an update from our supplier in Turkey.
Turkey, eh?
And they were saying that the plants have flowered, which when they start to flower, that's harvest time.
Yep.
But during the flowering, they experience 3 days of rain. And the rains dramatically affect the crop.
How so?
They become waterlogged and it changes the color of the plant. So you want rains when you're sowing the seeds, right? Then you want that intense sun in that rocky drained soil.
Yep.
But then you don't want rains for the remainder of the gestational cycle.
And so they got rain, so it changed color, so it's kind of a defective product?
A little bit. So the color's not going to be this vibrant green,
Yeah.
and the mold is going to be a little bit higher on it.
Okay, so this is just a farm, or are
This
we
is
talking about
a
Turkey
supplier
in general?
well, it's going to be all of Turkey, right? Because it's raining all throughout Turkey. But this is coming from our one particular supplier that we work with.
Got it. But in the general market update, which we record earlier,
Yep.
when you're saying there's a crisis of oregano right now, and you guys are sourcing other places? Or?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because Turkey has had just such a problematic time. And so now, we're pivoting. We're talking about the American Southwest, where we're trying to grow oregano from our supplier in New Mexico, which is
Got
a
it.
little bit different.
Yep.
We're also pivoting to Egypt, which is also in the Mediterranean. They're
I
very
remember.
good at growing herbs. And so, those first crops out of Egypt should be harvesting within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, cool. So alternatives, I like it.
Yeah. Oregano belongs to the mint family, the same family as basil, thyme, rosemary, and of course, mint. It wants dry, rocky, well-drained soil. It does not like to be waterlogged. The hillsides of Greece and Turkey, or the deserts of Egypt and New Mexico, these aren't lush, fertile growing environments. They're harsh, and that harshness is exactly the point. When oregano plant struggles, it produces more of its essential oils as kind of a defense mechanism. That's carvacol and thymol, which is what creates that distinct smell of oregano. Harvest timing matters just as much as the growing conditions. The peak moment for harvesting oregano is just before the plant flowers. That's when the essential oil content is at its highest. Once it blooms, the oil content goes down. So most growers will try and hit that window just before. They'll cut the stems low and bundle them for drying. A pound of fresh oregano becomes a fraction of that in dried weight. But what remains is way more potent. It's one of the few herbs where the dried form is actually stronger. Here's an OG Spice Guy pro tip. Before adding dried oregano to anything, rub it between your palms over the pan or the bowl. You're cracking open those dried leaves and releasing the essential oils that have been locked inside. Trust me, you'll smell the difference. Now let's talk about what this herb actually tastes like and what's happening on a molecular level. Mediterranean oregano's flavor comes primarily from two compounds, carvacol and thymol. Carvacol is the compound responsible for that warm, slightly sharp, almost medicinal bite that great oregano has. Thymol is the dominant compound in thyme. Oregano and thyme are close botanical relatives, and that's why they play so well together in cooking. So this is an interesting fact. When we were kind of in the middle of this oregano crisis, we were making recommendations to companies to substitute oregano with thyme because we had thyme in stock. And as long as it didn't create like a labeling issue, because most of the times on packaging you can say, hey, organic spices, and it will hide under that group term, you could substitute the oregano for thyme and you'd still get the flavor profile without having the oregano.
How many percentage of people were like, yeah, we'll go with thyme instead of oregano?
A handful.
Really?
Handful, yeah, because they were using it in a blend in which you
Sure.
could kind of hide it and still achieve the flavor profile.
That's cool that they're open to that.
Yeah.
And that you're like, hey, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So, and it's because of these active compounds.
I mean, obviously, when I think of oregano and thyme, it's dried, right? So it's either a leaf, like you said, you can rub between your palms, or
Yeah.
it's crushed or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's in the mint family, and mint you wouldn't dry and use. Mint you use fresh. Fresh oregano used in cooking?
That's a good question.
Right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've
No.
never heard
I've
of a
never
fresh
seen
oregano.
fresh oregano, only dried.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the herb section in in the
Right.
grocery store. Like you can
Interesting.
get cilantro or
Right.
basil or rosemary.
But they're in this cousin family
Yeah.
of the mint family, you
yeah,
said, right?
that's an interesting question. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it's
never seen
okay. That's why I serve a purpose.
The most important thing to understand about cooking with oregano is its relationship with heat and fat. This herb blooms when it hits hot olive oil or a tomato sauce that's been cooking for 20 minutes. You don't want to add dried oregano to a cold dish. The heat activates it. Then the fat carries those oil-soluble flavor compounds to every part of the dish. Pizza sauce works this way. It has the tomato acidity, olive oil fat, and high oven heat. Those three things work in harmony with oregano. And it's a natural companion to garlic. They share flavor compounds that amplify each other. That's why every culture that uses oregano also uses garlic. It's not a coincidence. You'll find this combination in Greek cooking, Italian cooking, and Turkish cooking. How do you use your oregano? Do you ever add it to a dish at the end?
No.
Okay.
The only way I'm using oregano these days is in an Italian blend.
Yeah,
right?
it's that just classic Italian flavor. I love to add oregano on my pizza.
Okay. See, I love to add Italian blend on my pizza.
Okay, which has oregano in it.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I put a lot of it on it, actually.
Yeah, I love it. When we go to, our local pizza place here, Mama's Pizza.
Yep.
I love the fact that they have the oregano shaker right
I'm
there.
using it. I'm also a sucker for the garlic powder. I
love
put a lot of that on there.
Yes.
And then, of course, I put salt and pepper
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a salt guy. And I'll put a little Parmesan on it, too. I like to dress my pizza, I guess.
Yeah, you really do. I was at Mama's Pizza
Yep.
and I was, putting all my things on it. And I thought about you. I picked up the salt shaker and I went, I can't do it. And I put it back down. I was really like, I want to see what the hype is all about. But I was like, yeah, I think it's really, I've never put salt on my pizza.
Really? Okay. Of all those, I would get rid of the Parmesan cheese. I
Yeah,
can go, okay, I don't really need
yeah,
that.
Yeah, that doesn't do much for me.
But I would pick salt over all of those other spices.
Really?
Yeah. It
Me,
just
it's
brings it
oregano.
out for me. Oh, that's good.
Oregano. As a side note, I recently went and visited a flavor company.
Okay.
So these guys manufacture flavors.
I want to do a show with them.
Yes, and they're fantastic. They're privately owned. This was so interesting. They had a machine that analyzes flavors. So you can put a spice blend. So we're working with a popcorn company and we've sampled them multiple times. And they're saying it's still lacking something. It's missing some back notes. And so we visited with this flavor compound, this flavor company.
Yeah.
And we brought our sample and they put it in their machine that analyzes the flavor. So we're talking about the thymol and the carvacol that's in thyme. And boom, you see the spikes on their readout. And from those chemical compounds, they're able to say, oh, there's oregano in this compound. There's here and here and here. And they could be able to almost mathematically deduce which flavors our blend was missing from a printout. And then they add those flavors back in, and then they gave us a finished blend and say, here, try this now. It will have those back notes that you were missing.
I think a lot of Americans have no idea how
clue.
flavors are created.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing they also deal in like chemical flavoring.
They
too,
do.
right?
They
And
do.
So how do you get blue raspberry? And,
Yeah. And
snow
this
cone.
whole RFK thing about removing artificial flavors and colors, their business is booming right now because of this. And they're able to do it organically, which I find super impressive.
Very cool.
I want to take a second and go through how oregano is used in different cuisines around the world. Italian food, we already talked about. That's how America and oregano first met. For Italian food, it's in the tomato sauce, whether it's a simple marinara, a Sunday gravy, or a pizza sauce. If you're making it at home, you can add it to the oil before the garlic or bloom it directly in the sauce for the last few minutes. So, Rob, do you know what blooming an herb is?
Heating it up.
Yeah, essentially. They do this a lot in Indian cooking as they'll heat up oil and then add herbs and it releases all those
Very
essential
cool.
oils. So, or in a sauce, like a tomato sauce. Greek cooking uses oregano even more liberally than Italian. A classic Greek salad is dressed with olive oil, red wine vinegar, and oregano. They use it in Greek souvlaki marinade or lamb or grilled fish. It's the default herb in Greek cooking, like how basil is to Italian cooking. Turkish cuisine uses the herb in kebab, spice rubs, in preparing grilled meats, and in vegetable dishes. Za'atar is the iconic Middle Eastern spice blend where oregano combines with sesame, sumac, and thyme. We should do a whole episode on za'atar down the line.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I'm really fascinated when you said that.
It's really good. So it's used on flatbread, roasted vegetables, and eggs, and they often mix it with olive oil as a dipping sauce. So have you ever been to a Middle Eastern restaurant, Mediterranean, Lebanese? They'll have a jar of what looks to be like this purple spice on the table.
I think so.
That's sumac.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So sumac is a dried berry. And then they grind it up and they use it as a spice and they put it on everything.
What's it taste like?
It's like really light and refreshing, almost like lemon, like very citrusy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. I
So
have seen it. Yeah.
Sofrito is a foundational cooking sauce with seasoning in Spain, which traveled to Latin America as well. That's with onions, garlic, bell peppers, and maybe some cilantro. Chimichurri from Argentina is a marinade for grilled meats. It's made from uncooked herbs. So that's dried oregano, parsley, garlic, plus red wine vinegar and olive oil. Lastly, beans in any form pair well with oregano. White beans, lentils, chickpeas. The herb bridges the earthy protein of the legume with everything else in the pot.
I'm starving.
All right, that's our episode. Today we talked about what makes this little plant so resilient and how it traveled from the hillsides of ancient Greece to a pizza slice in Brooklyn to your grandmother's windowsill. Now, its distinct flavor is vital to iconic dishes all over the world. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you've learned something new. See you next time on the OG Spice Guy Show.
The OG Spice Guy Show is produced and recorded by Galaxy Media in Los Angeles, California, in association with High Quality Organics, America's leading provider of organic spices. Executive producers are Jonathan Raju and Rob Clyde. Today's episode was produced by Rob Clyde and Max Flora. It was engineered and edited by Drew Unser. Graphics by Michelle Esteva. Web and SEO by Rebecca McDonald. And social media by Bethany Guerrero. You can DM and follow us on all platforms and socials at OG Spice Guy.
Oregano imports to the United States increased by more than 5,000% in less than 10 years.
Sorry.
What happened?
I was just answering a text. I was racing because I didn't want you to end. I thought I had a little more time. You go for the handoff, and I'm like, I have no idea what you just said.
It's okay.
I bet it was about oregano.
Yeah. How it traveled from the hillsides of Italy to a pizza slice in Brooklyn to your grandmother's windowsill.
Your mother's windowsill. That's what I wanted to say. As soon as you said it, I was about to go, your mother's.
Oh, God, now I'm not going to be able to say it. And how it traveled from the hillsides of Italy to a pizza slice in Brooklyn to your grandmother's windowsill.
His grandmother. That's what's even better. That's what it is. Your grandmother's windowsill. Sorry. Drew's getting pissed.